Everything that rocks, CJ92. That is Amy from Evanescence. Is it kind of crazy that we also just played Caesar with her former boyfriend?
What? Sean Morgan.
Yeah. 742 with Forbes and Friends. The best guest ever, Stephen.
Oh, I love talking to this guy. Maybe
Now,
makes me a little bit morbid. His name is Christian Cadieux, and he is the head of Crime and Trauma Scene Cleaners Incorporated.
You know what?
Basically like the wolf off of Pulp Fiction.
We just did an end of a season show, and we did the best things we had on the radio, and this was number one.
Yeah, we got a ton of calls for you, Christian.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Fantastic. So, just up in Edmonton, just this week, we had some creep chop up his girlfriend, and then the cops had to come in. He was still in the room.
He was still there when the cops came into the apartment. This happened on New Year's Eve, Edmonton's 47th murder of the year. And Christian, have you ever come into a scene where you've had a dismembered body that you had to deal with?
Well, there have been occasions in the past where, as a result of different sources that feed us information, we have beaten EMS and first responders to a scene. And sometimes, there have been scenarios or situations where the bodies, or dismembered bodies for that matter, still have been in the environment that we've been called to properly and thoroughly decontaminate.
Have you ever been to a scene that EMS has been to, and it's been so gruesome that there have been several body parts they've left with what they thought was the whole body, and in your cleanup, you found parts they've left behind?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. Not just EMS, but I got to be careful what I say here because I don't want to offend anybody, but also forensics. The CSI teams of certain cities throughout Canada, I mean, they're human and they do make mistakes, and it does happen where, unfortunately, they may have missed a bullet casing, a piece of a body part, and we have to stop everything that we're doing and contact the local authorities, i.e., or perhaps the local forensics department, and have them come by and recover that piece of evidence, perhaps, or whatever it may be.
Ugh.
Because essentially what happens is that, you see, I'm trained, and we're all trained, on how to properly get away with murder. And that is the truth. We're trained on how to properly decontaminate, recover, remove, and any trace of DNA.
Okay.
And with that being said, if forensics hasn't properly performed their services, or if they haven't completed, and if they miss something, and we're called in to do our job, then we may have just aided an individual in getting away with murder.
Now, 249-CJ92, if you'd like to ask a question. Let me ask you this question. Is it possible to do a murder and clean it up? You don't have to tell me how to. You don't have to tell me how to do it, but is it possible?
Yeah, it's absolutely very possible.
Do you use luminol? Is that still used?
Luminol is used. It's definitely it's not a very safe product. It's actually a carcinogenic, and it's extremely dangerous to use. So
really,
it's not one of our number one items to use for the collection or the retention of blood samples or any type of bodily fluids. There are a lot safer products that we use to identify bodily fluids, and we certainly use those products.
Now, murderers use bleach quite a bit, don't they?
I've heard that lie is the other one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the time of the season we just went through, suicides. What kind of stuff you're finding now?
Well, you know what? It's all right. This is a really controversial issue, and a lot of people, people seem to think that it is a busy time of the year for us. Suicides are up during the holidays. However, some people debate that is in fact a myth or a placebo, whichever the case may be. But what I find in our business, in my line of work, that we're definitely a lot busier on the holidays. What happens is usually from Thanksgiving going all the way to Valentine's Day. At Christmas time, you've got individuals who are estranged from their family, and usually Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, they'll usually self-infliction, they'll commit suicide, they'll slash their wrists, they'll do all types of stuff to themselves. And it goes all the way up to Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day, it's usually the university students, young ladies in the dormitories. Their boyfriends may break up with them. They get lonely. They slash their wrists, and then you have a mess, and then we're called in.
When that happens, is there a lot of blood?
Yeah, if they hit an artery, absolutely. There's a tremendous amount of bodily.
Now, what do you clean blood up with?
I'm sorry?
Do you vacuum it up? What do you do?
Sometimes we use different types of biohazardous vacuums to properly recover the bodily fluids, but there are,
And where do you put them when you get them?
I'm sorry?
Where do you dispose of that?
Oh, well, there are actually certain laws in every province throughout Canada which stipulate on the transportation and the generation and the disposal of bodily fluids. It's actually referred to as pathological waste, as per the Ministry of the Environment in Alberta, in Ontario, in Quebec, in BC, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, et cetera, et cetera. All throughout Canada, every province has their own set of guidelines and regulations that are enforced and which prevent people from throwing.
Can't drop it off at the fire station, basically.
Exactly. Or you can't put it in front of your house or on the curb.
Yeah.
No, Christian, you were talking. We were talking yesterday off the air, and you were telling me about these classes you're now offering, where you can recreate any murder scene, any famous murder scene, and walk people through it.
Yeah. There's some colleagues of mine and myself. We actually created an organization, and the organization is called CADS, which stands for the Canadian Authority for Decontamination Specialists. And it's a training facility, and essentially what we do is we train people to get into this industry. And we have a very selected course that we offer where they fly all over from Canada, and we take requests on recreating different types of crime scenes, such as the Manson murders, the Sharon Tate murder, or perhaps the Mendez brothers murders, or
no kidding,
wow,
the Bundy and Manson and Gacy and all those individuals. What we do is, if individuals are interested in cleaning up or decontaminating a crime scene of that nature, then if they give us a request, we'll recreate it to the best of our ability.
Well, it's like for Halloween, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it's certainly.
One other question I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you this one. I wanted to ask you is, have you ever, because Red Dog's looking to get some of the equipment, have you ever cleaned up an autoerotic asphyxiation suicide?
Thanks for throwing me under the bus there, Chief.
You guys are too. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. Forbes, why don't you shut up? I have a question.
No, I'd like to hear the answer to this. Have you ever cleaned up an auto asphyxiation suicide?
Myself, I haven't, but the company has.
So you haven't got any of the gear kicking around.
Just Google Michael Hutchins Forbes. You can find out everything you need to know.
That's gotta be
I want to know when you clean up one of these houses or an apartment where somebody dies, they turn around and resell this place. Are they bound by law to disclose that somebody died violently there?
Okay, depending on the circumstances, if the intent was criminal, then by law, real estate law, now also depending on the municipalities that are involved, they have to disclose that information, just like if it's a grow-op or a meth lab. However, if it's a non-criminal intent, let's say it was natural causes, a natural human decomposition, technically speaking, there is an ethical obligation, however, not a legal obligation.
Let me explain to Red Dog. If the real estate agent says to you, this place would have cost you an arm and a leg, but I'm going to let it go cheap, you're probably okay. Thank you so much. And once again, a great interview. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right, 750.
You bet.
So, wait, let me get this straight.